Hey, Sunflowers. I know it's been a little bit since I've last talked to you guys, and I know that I've put a couple of things out letting you guys know where I was mentally and the fact that I was taking a little bit of time for myself to recover because I gotta be honest, my mental health, I'm not doing very well. I'm not. Depression is kicking my butt and I'm emotionally overwhelmed by a situation that I've been dealing with for a little while. And as much as I've been doing my best to live my life in spite of it, I have to admit this is hard. It's a lot to deal with. It's hard. I mean, and I'm overwhelmed too because I feel I feel slightly guilty that I started the year posting positive, growth mindset, motivating content, to say the least. And it's something I'm still gonna do. By the way, that's not gonna stop. That is something we're still gonna do on this channel. But I have to admit, it makes me feel a little bit guilty that I put out this type of content and I've been kind of in this mindset for this period of time and realizing, man, I'm like really struggling with this, really hurting with this, because, and not to give too much information away because I don't have the parties involved permission to speak about it expressly, but to just give a little bit of context. And again, I'm only going to share it from my perspective because that's all I can do. I can't speak for anyone else, but you know, I'm dealing with the heartbreak and the pain and betrayal of losing a 20 plus year relationship. And so, it's been really hard dealing with that. And it's been really, really bogging me down. And like I said, I feel guilty because of all the things that we've discussed on this channel so far. For the way that I handled that situation, I don't feel I'm practicing what I'm preaching. So I do acknowledge with this situation that I was clear about being unheard. I was clear about feeling disrespected and dismissed. I made it clear that I was not happy with the fact that I expressed my dislike for something and that it felt, my, I guess feelings is the best word. My feelings were ignored. So, like I said, with that, I made it a point to make that apparent, but I think that was the issue. It's the fact that I was making it too much of a point to make it a point. Because as we've talked about on this channel, when we talk about the things that we want out of our conversations and our relationships, we should seek we should seek not trying to be right, but seek to be heard. And I have to admit, for me, in trying to be heard, I want to say that ended up at some point becoming wanting to be right. And feeling, like I said, feeling as if my feelings weren't being fully considered and my feelings weren't being fully accepted. It became more of a fight for me to show, hey, this is what you're doing. This is how I'm hurting. This is that. And, but like we talked about, it's not my job to make people do that. It's not my job to control how they respond to that. The only thing I'm responsible for is to make my feelings known and to let it be known whether or not a boundary was being crossed, whether or not, like I said, I've been disrespected, or if I feel like my needs or concerns are not being, considered. If I feel as if I'm being wronged in some type of way, it's my responsibility to make that known. If my boundaries are being crossed or violated, it is my responsibility to make that known. What is not my responsibility is what they choose to do with that information after the fact. And I was too caught up in wanting them to acknowledge that and doing their part to fit and wanting them to fix it, fix it, whatever that may mean. Like I said, the only thing that they are supposed to do in this instance is make a choice. They have the choice to hear me out and agree to what I've said and make a change based on that information, or they can deny it and dismiss it and just keep going about their life. But at the end of it all, that's their decision, and I can't control that. I can't make that more than what it is. And I'm learning to accept that part. But like I said, I feel guilty. Really, I've learned in this situation, I thought it was guilt. I really thought it was guilt. It's not guilt. I feel ashamed. I feel ashamed with how I handled this situation in general because, like I said, I was so occupied with being right that I compromised I compromised my own values, to be honest. I didn't go about this in the way that I would advise you guys to. I didn't go about this even in a way that I normally would want to go about it. I let my hurt feelings take the wheel and just go off the rails, basically. Because it's someone I was, like I said, very close to and had known for a good majority of my life. I just felt that, with how close our relationship was, I expected something that wasn't fair on me or on them. I had an expectation of how this was supposed to be handled based on the context of our relationship. And that's not how you should go about things. I assumed. And you know what they say when you assume? I won't say it, but if you know, you know. I was feeling really guilty, and then I ended up feeling really ashamed about the way the situation went down, the way things were handled, the words that were said, the tone that was used, all these things. Like, I felt so bad that I honestly had a few relapses. And when I mean relapse, I mean I age regressed twice. And I believe I've spoken to you guys about that before, where briefly, if you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you don't know what age regression is, basically age regression is when, for me, age regression is when I dissociate and take on the form or the persona of a very young child. As far as I can tell, this child that I become is a 5-year-old. Like I said, this is the age that I believe her to be, or at least I associate her with. She could be younger, she could be a little bit older, but my understanding is 5. So when I'm very overwhelmed with emotions, my brain is just frazzled and doing too much, age regression, it's like this other persona kicks in to take over and release me, or because I'm still trying to figure out what exactly it is that triggers that. Because I don't know if it's the child wants to come out and be heard or be known, because it's like, okay, now it's my time to come out because this is what's bothering me. Or if it's my adult self or my conscious self, it's like, I just can't handle this right now. I just need to step out of my own self for a minute. So I don't really know what that really is. I don't know if it's a protection measure for me to her or vice versa. But when I'm very much overwhelmed and I dissociate, that's one of the things that can happen, is I can age regress, or I go into convulsive fits. Well, I call them convulsive fits, which is basically I shake uncontrollably. It's not necessarily a seizure. It's more like involuntary jerking. It is something that I read is associated with bipolar disorder because it is a brain disorder. And like epilepsy, bipolar disorder is a brain disorder. So it is highly likely that that's what it's linked to. But again, these things mostly happen when I'm in a dissociative state and when I am extremely overwhelmed with emotions. Because, with borderline personality, we have nothing but big emotions. So, yeah, basically, I went through that for the past couple of weeks. Um, and I'm grateful because I had my husband and my cousin to come and help me out and work with me through those times. Because honestly, my husband noticed I was dissociating before I even did, and helped me, just get myself settled. Because the first time I felt it coming, I was like, my whole body just felt jittery, like I had too much caffeine or something. And so I was like, okay, well, let me figure out how I can get this energy out because I felt like I was just overstimulated, one. And so I did an exercise thinking, okay, maybe if I, exercise, sweat a little bit, burn some energy, that would help me out. It didn't calm me down. So I took a shower and I went, tried to do extreme temperature changes. I guess started hot, then I went cold, listened to some calming music, and it still was kind of eh. And I'm gonna be honest, I think I feel myself dissociating now. So I just want to I'm just making myself aware of it. But anyway, so yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, okay, how do I get out of this state? And I still haven't figured out how to stop it. I still haven't figured out how to not go into that dissociative state. So I just have to let it pass and I just have to let it be. And even right now, I'm having to let myself go through the things I'm going through. Like I said, right now, I'm slightly dissociating. I feel it because I'm like, as you can see, I'm rocking back and forth. I'm talking myself through it. As you can see, I'm rocking back and forth and I'm kind of like feeling sleepy, a little bit hazy. I'm not as overwhelmed as I was before, but I do notice that I'm still highly triggered, y'all. So anyway, like I said, since I feel like I am getting into that state, I want to make it clear that I wanted to share this with you guys because the irony behind this month's theme being personal growth has been very much a thing because I don't have a better word for that. But I just didn't want to give the impression that I was okay when I'm not. I don't want to give the impression that I'm forcing myself to be positive or happy or I'm doing great just to continue making content and just to continue to keep putting my face on the internet. I wanted to make sure that what was shared with you guys is real. And that's all I want really for this channel is to be real with you guys. Because like I said, my intention is to share my experiences. My intention is to let you know this is what life is like dealing with a dual diagnosis. This is what my life is like. And I want to be as a positive example when it comes to showing that I can run a business and build a business and still deal with this. And I want to show a positive example of how, and I hope that this comes off as that because that was kind of my intention of making this video in the first place, is to say that you can still go through the hard time and still come out okay. Like right now, it's overwhelming. It's a little much, but I can honestly say in comparison to a few years ago, I'm definitely better than I was. And there is growth. There is positivity behind this. You know, there's getting through this. And my goal with this channel and my purpose in life is to be helpful, specifically to those who are dealing with borderline personality, for those who are dealing with bipolar, for those who struggle with their mental health every day, even if you don't have a diagnosis, for those who are just, again, overwhelmed with emotions, but they don't understand why. My thing is, my goal is to show that in spite of these things, we can still find peace. We can still find solace. And, it's a point of mine to make that clear. Like I said, I love when people reach out and tell me, hey, I watched your video. It helped me understand myself better. Or I've heard something that you said and I never thought of it that way. So it's putting things in a different perspective. Or just when people say, I appreciate you sharing this story because I thought I was alone and I was the only one. It's like, I wish I had the words to explain how much that means to me. And I know I say it in every single video, or at least I try to, but I really do mean that. How much it really means to me when people reach out and say that anything that I said or put out is something that helped them get 1%, even if it's just 1% better than the day they were before. That means the world to me. It really does. I have to let go of the shame of the relapse too, because I feel, like I said earlier, going through the relapses, feeling the pain, feeling the rage, because it's not anger, the rage that I went through. I felt as if I wasn't practicing what I was preaching and I wasn't being honest with you guys. And I have to realize I have to let go of the shame of that, because that is a human emotion. Whether it's a heightened human emotion or not, that is a regular emotion. And that is how my brain, my body, and my system has learned how to process traumatic events. And I have to be honest, this was a traumatic event for me. And I can't be upset at myself for my body doing what it has always known what to do when trauma presents itself, which is try to protect myself, try to, yeah, sorry. Got distracted. I can't blame myself for my body doing what it's known to do, which is protect myself and to try to, get me through it in the only way that it knows how. I am still learning and discovering the new ways to get myself through this thing, learning how to get myself through these moments of trauma, these moments of dissociation, these moments of rage and relapse and all that. So, okay, this is my moment of transparency, and I wanted to just share this, guys. Yeah, I wanted to share this with you guys because, like I said, I want to be honest and I want to be real, and I want to make it known that as much as I'm going to put out positive, forward moving content, I still struggle. I'm still struggling. And it's okay. It's okay. So if you're in a space where you're like, man, I've made all this progress and I'm moving forward and I feel like I'm doing so good with myself, and yet you have these moments where you feel like all that hard work and I'm still doing this, it doesn't take anything away from you. It doesn't change the progress you've made. It doesn't make you a bad person. And it doesn't make you anything. It just shows you this is still a part of me that I have to heal. This is still a part of me that needs nurturing. So with all that being said, like I said, I wanted to be transparent with you guys. And I want to give you a moment of clarity on from my end But yeah, I have some stuff coming. As far as the Patreon is concerned, I know I mentioned that in a previous video. That is still in the works. That's still something that I'm working on. So whatever content I plan to put on Patreon, I'm more than likely going to go ahead and just release it here on YouTube so you guys can go ahead and see it. Because like I said, one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys is something that I don't want to keep holding. I don't want to hold that back from you guys. It is, to me, very important that I share that because it was one of the greatest lessons I've ever learned. But regardless, like I said, I appreciate every single one of you for being here, for subscribing, for being a sunflower, for your support, for your love, and just being you, honestly, for being you. Because the thing we have to understand is I personally feel the people that come and watch my content are the people who have noticed within themselves that there is something that they want to grow from. And even though they're struggling and even though they go through the things they go through, they still are seeking to be a better person. And again, like I said before, even if that's 1% better than you were yesterday, that is better. That is better. So I hope that with the content that I've been putting out, that it encourages you guys to continue to be better and get better, because you are worth being, you are worth it. You are worth the life you're living, and you're worth to see it's worth it to see yourself grow. It's worth it to put that effort into yourself and to love yourself because you deserve it. So I'm going to stop talking now because this video is longer, and it's hilarious to me because I wrote down notes so I wouldn't ramble too much and this video wouldn't go too long, and here we are. But anyway, I love you guys so much. Stay square, my sunflowers. As usual, I love you. I'm going to check y'all in the next video. I'm going to go take a nap now. I love you. Bye.